All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wellness Wednesday live stream. For those of you who haven't been with us before, Wellness Wednesday is a weekly program that we put on at the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness. And we do it on all sorts of different topics. So we talk about, in the past, we talked about staying healthy during COVID, things like that, how to live a life that's both physically and spiritually fulfilling, things like that. So we try to bring in different experts and we talk about things that are relevant to you. And we have a blog post that accompanies this. So if you'd rather read about it, feel free to check out the blog post. It's on DePaul blogs under the Health Promotion and Wellness Office. But we're going to get started. We'll start with some introductions. My name is Peter. I'm a junior here at DePaul and a health sciences major, and I use he, him, his pronouns.
All right, and I'm Cindy. I'm a sophomore at DePaul studying business administration, and I use she, her, and her pronouns.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a recovery ally, and sort of what that looks like, how you can get involved, and we're also just going to talk about what recovery in general means. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and a lot of people just might not know what it is. So we can go ahead and jump in. We'll start with just a couple of basic myths and misconceptions that we wanted to cover. So we have another one of our HEAT members, Natalie, has been working on a really awesome series that has been spotlighting folks in our DePaul's Collegiate recovery community. And so the DePaul's Collegiate recovery community is a place for folks who identify as being in recovery from a variety of things to go and to meet weekly and to feel safe and supported and encouraged, and just to be able to live a really full, self-directed life. So Natalie has been talking to them and asking, like, what do they want people to say? And one of the things that she always asks is, like, what are some myths that you'd like to dispel about recovery? So our first one is that mental health concerns only affect a small group.
Which is not true, because mental health definitely it varies from person to person. So it really doesn't matter what race you are or what gender you are, because it is a spectrum. So whether it is one simple accident that then transform into a mental health concern, or whether something that is more genetic, it can affect anybody.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Cindy. One of the things, too, I think is pretty astounding. The CDC has done some studies, and their surveys have shown that 1 in 5 folks in the U.S. Experience some sort of mental illness. And I think that this number is probably really underreported, because I think there are folks who maybe don't necessarily identify or know what to look for when it comes to having a mental health concern, and there are folks who don't reach out. And so that number is probably lower than it actually is. So 1 in 5, I think, is a pretty substantial portion of the population. Our second misconception that we'd like to dispel today is that substance use is a moral issue. I think a lot of times when we talk about substance use, we use really stigmatizing words like, oh, like, are you clean? Or things like that, that imply that to be using substances is a really, like, bad or dirty thing, and it's really not. And it's not a moral issue. It's not anything like that connected to the worth or the value of a person. Cindy, do you have more to add about that?
Also, I think it's very important to know that it's not moral, because sometimes people don't really have like an option. There are such things as being genetic predisposed to having substance use, and so it's important to make sure that when we are talking about these things, to not stigmatize it or make it seem like it's the individual's fault, or like it's a choice that they're making, because it's not really anything about a moral. It's something that's much more deeper than that.
Yeah, completely. And I'm glad you brought up the point about being predisposed. I think there are, for a lot of people I know, like for me personally in my family, there's a history of addiction. And so I know that that's something that I need to look out for, especially because my genetics make me more, uh, potentially more prone to like substance. Um, in addition to that, I think it's really important that we also recognize that when we're talking about substance use specifically, the effects of substance use can carry on long after an individual stops using. Um, and I think this is really important to acknowledge because I think a lot of people think that all you have to do is stop and then it's done. But that's not the case. Um, it can be really hard to get over a substance use disorder, and it's something that affects you long after you stop using in a variety of different ways. So I think
And
it's
to
really important.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
to add on to it, it's important also to know that a person is much more than the substance that they use. So we always want to make sure we use that person language, not sometimes I think people really like to use like the word addict or different words like those. I think it's important to know it's a person who uses, but not the fact that that defines who they are or what their values are.
yeah, that's a fantastic point. That's awesome. So our third one is that recovery only applies to substance use disorders. You want to say a little bit more about that, Cindy?
Yeah, so this is like another idea that's just very stigmatized thinking. You can be in recovery when I think it's very people think about physical things they can see. So again, if it's drinking, if it's a certain sort of drug, I can physically see that you're not using or the fact that you're not drinking. So that must be you're in recovery. But it's actually more than that. There's eating disorders. There's different traumatic events that recovery can be somebody who has been in an accident and is finally getting on a car again. That's like a sense of recovery that you don't really see shown in the media or really seen portrayed, but that's a sense of recovery. It's really not only applying to substance use, it's a wide spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing, which goes back to like you mentioned about doing our best not to stigmatize um, and working to be really inclusive, is that when we think about and talk about whether it's mental health concerns or eating concerns or substance use disorders, there's no hierarchy to these things. There's um, no person's suffering is greater than another person's. Everything is dependent on individual, and one person's mental mental health concern, is not less or more serious or valid than others. Everyone, regardless of how overt or covert it is just as valid as the next person. Um, so these are just a few of I think, the more common misconceptions and myths that come up and that we really want to work towards dispelling and making sure that when we talk about these things and think about these things, we're thinking about them in an adequate and appropriate and inclusive way. Uh, but what do we do with this information? Where do we go from here? So where we want to talk about what it means to be a recovery ally, and how you can become a really good, sustainable recovery ally. So, do you want to talk through this first one, Cindy?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the things that a lot of people think about when we think about being an ally is, well, I don't know what to say sometimes. What about somebody who discloses something to me and I don't know how to respond to their feelings? The very first step to really think about is don't think about what I should say back. Just think about I want to listen, because a lot of times all people need is just somebody who will listen to their story and not judge them, but just simply understand where they're coming from, hear their perspective. Because I feel oftentimes, when you are in recovery, it's hard to get that message across and not be judged. And so the best way to do it is just listen. Don't think about what can I say back. Just be there and support them by listening to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that transitions really well into our second point, which is to be supportive. Um, Going through recovery can be a really challenging process. Um, regardless of what what you identify as being in recovery from. Um, and so being supportive is a part of being a good ally. And that might mean encouraging people and individuals when they're really struggling. Um, and it might mean supporting them during that time. It also means celebrating accomplishments. Support doesn't always have to be just when things are bad. It's also when things are good. Um, and so when individuals feel or have an accomplishment, it's really important that as much as we're supporting during tough times, we're celebrating during good times as well. Um, and finally, we want to just be there to help encourage growth and to help support folks that want some extra support. Um, I think being a good recovery ally means being there for someone when they need you and being supportive of them.
And the next thing is to educate yourself. So like we said, recovery can look in many different ways. There's a wide spectrum, and it really depends from person to person. So the best thing you can do is just kind of know some signs to look out for if somebody is in recovery. And like kind of like what Peter said, supporting them. So watching for their energy, seeing their personal hygiene. If you see that they're not enjoying the activities that they used to enjoy, kind of see why that is. And then again, really just knowing the kind of language that you're using. So if they are looking for your help, if they are trying to find the avenue to connect with you, making sure that you don't use any language that can make them turn away from you or show that you have some limitations in your language. So those are just kind of some ways to look out for and just know some signs.
Yeah, completely. And I think it's important to remember that every person is different. And so every person is going to want and need different things. One person may not need the same thing as another person. And so while we want to be there to support as many people as we can, it's also important to recognize that people may not necessarily want support, and that support might look different from person to person. I think that's really crucial to remember. But if we're going to support each other and support the people around us, we have to make sure that we're taking a step back and taking care of ourselves as well. And this really goes to like the heart of what I'm sure you've heard around campus all the time and orientation and all across campus is that motto of take care DePaul. And this is a huge piece of take care DePaul that while we want to encourage everyone to become a recovery ally and to support folks in many different facets of life, whether it's recovery or X, Y, or Z, we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well. Because if you're constantly there for someone else, but you're not taking time to make sure you're okay and you're healthy and you're happy, it's going to be really hard to support other people. You can't, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. And so you have to make sure that you're taking a step back to refill your own cup so that you can come back and support those around you and support your friends and support the people around you and support the larger community. Do you have anything to add to that one, Cindy?
I would say it's okay to feel like you need time for yourself. I feel like a lot of times, you want to be there for your friends or your family. You want to, like, oh, if they're coming to me and I don't want to like disappoint them or not be there for them. But I think it's important to allow yourself to, what they are disclosing to you, what is happening is, very important, and it can take effects and it can take a toll on you. So it's important for you to just take care of yourself and allow yourself the space that you need to process the information that you're getting and just your own feelings.
Yeah, it's really good. Do you want to talk through this one a little bit?
Yeah, so this all sounds really interesting to you. The Office of Health Promotion and Wellness actually offers a free training where you can get certified to become a recovery ally. So you'll learn a little bit of all the signs, and also you get some resources. So in case you know somebody they don't really want to come to, you can refer them to the resources if they feel more comfortable, whether they're confidential or anything, or even just like group meetings. We have a lot of great resources.
Yeah, and if you are interested in getting involved, I mentioned our blog post earlier, so we have actual links to all of these things in there. And so if you want a really easy way to access those resources, feel free to check that out and read through it, as well as the other blog posts that are there. There's some really great ones on topics. But if you're specifically interested in becoming a recovery ally, our next training is Friday, December 4th from 10 a.m. until 11:30. So, I mean, it's relatively pretty short. We try to do them at a time when we hope people will be available. And you can register for that training by either going to our DHub page, and it'll be under our events. If you just scroll down, you'll see a Recovery Ally training. And that, I believe, will be led by Katie Bellamy, who is our substance misuse prevention specialist. And she's a really great resource. She's extremely knowledgeable and extremely personable and friendly. So if you want to learn from someone, there's really no one better to learn from than her. I know Cindy and I both did the training with her earlier this year, and it was a great training. I really encourage anyone who's interested to take part in it. And you can also email her directly if you have more questions about it. And again, her email, you can look her up, but her email is also in that blog post. It's a really awesome training, and it's inclusive, and it gives you some really solid tools that you can walk away with and feel confident that you know what to do to support someone or to help someone get to where they need to be. So that's about all we have for today. I do want to reiterate though that the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness and the team, Cindy and I, and as well as everyone else on Heat, we're always here for you as a resource, whatever it may be that you need. Whether you feel like you're struggling or you need someone to talk to, or if you're just curious and you want to learn more, maybe you want to learn more about becoming a ally, and you just want some tools, or you're looking for a new way to support someone, or a new way to support yourself. Just know that you can always reach out to us. You can find all of our information if you just look up the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness. And we're always here and always happy to speak with you about whatever. Cindy, do you have anything else to add?
I think that pretty much covers it. We offer, like, even just outside of Recovery Ally, we just offer a lot of resources. The Office of Health Promotion and Wellness. We offer a lot of different things just for students, and it's a very holistic approach. So whether you are, in this case at least, if you're in recovery, somebody who wants to be in recovery, or just simply wants to know more, we definitely have different resources and people you can talk to and connect you with them.
Yeah, exactly. If the CRC, the DePaul's Collegiate Recovery Community, sounds like something that's interesting to you as well, if you go the same place that the Recovery Ally training is, you can go to the DHub page and find the DePaul's Collegiate Recovery Community. And there's weekly meetings, and you'll be able to see each meeting and what time it is, and you'll be able to register right there. It's a really awesome group. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, like I said earlier, Natalie, who's another Heat member, has been doing some really awesome posts spotlighting folks who identify as being in recovery. And so you can read a little bit more about their thoughts on the collegiate recovery community and what they get out of it. Things that like we talked about, myths and misconceptions that they want to dispel. And I think that if that's something you're looking for in your life, the collegiate recovery community could be a really awesome resource for you to check out and learn about. In addition to that, Natalie has put together a really awesome sort of summation snapshot of all of the student spotlights and put that information together in one sort of cohesive blog post. So if you're looking for something a little bit shorter, you could absolutely read through that. It's a really, really good read, and just a great way to learn a little bit more about something you might not know about.
Right. And the cool thing about that is that it's like from their perspective. So you do get that firsthand perspective, and you kind of understand what the struggles that they've gone through and just what it's like. And so that can kind of help you understand if you have a friend who is in a situation, or if you yourself are not sure if you are in that place, to kind of help you understand what it's like and help you destigmatize some of the things that I think our culture especially might lately not been shedding some light on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's about all we've got for today. Anything else to add, Cindy?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for showing up. If you were here today, please, sorry, wrong one. Please take the time to check in, and all you have to do is scan this QR code. It'll take you straight to the DHub page. I don't think you need to click anything without scanning this QR code. But please check in. Really great to see your attendance here. But we'll be back next week at the same time with another topic, and so we hope to see everyone back here.
Yeah. And so don't forget to stay in touch. You can visit the website, call the number, or just follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all of our events that are going to happen the rest of this quarter and then throughout the year.
Well, thank you everyone for being here.
Bye.
Bye.